Hello students. Today we are going to review how to solve equations that are in absolute value form. So when you have absolute value, again the definition is how far away it is from 0. And because this first one is x minus 4 equals 7 absolute value, we're going to make it go into two different equations. We have x minus 4 equals 7 and x minus 4 equals negative 7. Because inside here the solution could be negative 7 because the absolute value of negative 7 is 7, or it could be 7, absolute value of 7 is 7. So then we solve the two equations. We're going to go ahead and add 4, and x equals 11. And then over here, if we add 4, x equals negative 3. Okay, so our solution set is x equals negative 3 comma 11. And I usually just put the lowest one first. And we can always put it in there. Negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. Absolute value is 7. We can always go back and check. 11 minus 4 is 7. Absolute value equals 7. So we can check ourselves to make sure we have the right answer. And that's the beauty of math, because most of the time you can check yourself. Over here again, we want to check to make sure the absolute values are by themselves. Then we can make our two equations where we can have x plus 5 equals 2 and x plus 5 equals negative 2. Okay, minus 5, x equals negative 3. Over here we go minus 5, and that's minus 5. So x equals negative 7. Sorry for my bad handwriting. And then if we wanted to put it back in to there, we can make sure that we get 2 out and check ourselves. Okay, the next time, the absolute value is by itself. You also want to check to make sure this number is positive once the absolute value is by itself. Since it's by itself, there's nothing outside of it, we can go ahead and make our two equations. X over 7 equals 4, and x over 7 equals negative 4. And we solve for those two. Multiply by 7, x equals 28. Here, multiply by 7, x equals negative 28. And if I plug them back in, we can see that we have the right answer there. Okay, this 3x minus 9, nothing on the outside or anything, so we can make our two equations. 3x equals 9, 3x equals negative 9. Divide by 3, x equals 3, divide by 3, and x equals negative 3. So you can put that in, and you can see that you got the right answer. Okay, now if I look at E, we can make our two equations and go on. And if we do that, we can look at this and say absolute values by itself, and it equals a negative 6. Well, your absolute values in this form cannot be a negative number. We can get negative answers for x's in all of these other equations, but we will never, once it comes out of the absolute values, be a negative. We could try and solve it and go x plus 8 equals negative 6, minus 8, x equals negative 14. That would be one equation, and the other one would be x plus 8 equals positive 6, minus 8, x equals negative 2. And again, I apologize, I'm running out of room there. So if I put negative 14 in there, negative 14 plus 8 is 6. Absolute value of 6 is 6. See, it is not a negative. Over here, if I get negative 2 plus 8 is negative 6, but the absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6. So once you get the absolute value by itself, the solution, or the equal sign, whatever's over here, has to be positive. It cannot be negative. For that reason, E would be empty set. Okay? So again, your solution can have negative numbers, but when you end up with the absolute value equation in the beginning, where absolute value is by itself equals 6, equals -6, it can never be negative in that form. Okay, we can try a couple of other problems now. Okay, right here, we're going to get the absolute value by itself, and then we're going to check to see if it's a negative number. Divide by 3, divide by 3, absolute value of x equals 2. It's a positive number, so x can equal 2 or -2. And if we wanted to put that back in, we could see that that works. Next one, absolute value of x divided by 2 equals 4, times by 2, times by 2, absolute value of x equals 8. Again, that's a positive number when the absolute value is by itself. So your solution, oh, I should be putting this in solution set form, equals 8, -8, comma 8. Okay, next one, I add 5. Add 5. Absolute value of x equals 3. Okay, so x equals -3 and +3. So that's our solution set. Okay. All right, I'm going to skip I and go here and go add 2. Add 2 first. Absolute value of x plus 7 equals 11. Okay, I'm double checking to see if this is a negative number, and it's not, so I can make my two equations. X plus 7 equals 11. And we could have x plus 7 equals -11. So to solve this, -7 minus 7, x equals 4, -7 minus 7, and x equals -18. And if I wanted to, I could plug those back in and make sure that's the correct solution. So x equals solution set -18, comma 4. My squiggly line. Okay, this is a more challenging one here, so I'm going to solve for absolute value. If you get stuck like this, you can rewrite it as 3a plus 6 equals 12. And we could have a equals absolute value of x minus 2. So you can make that as your substitute, and then it's easy to see what to do here if you're going to solve for a. We would go -6 minus 6. And then you would get 3a equals 6, divide by 3, divide by 3, and a would equal 2. So now we can plug that back in. We know a is absolute value of x minus 2 equals 2. Because we see we did all the work here, and we see that a equals 2. Make our two equations. X minus 2 equals 2, and x minus 2 equals -2. Add 2, add 2, x equals 4. Then we have the other one, add 2, and x equals 0. So our solution set is x equals parentheses 0, comma 4. Okay, keep up the good work, students. You rock.